There is a painful truth that most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. Not everyone you love is meant to stay. Some people are only meant to pass through your life like seasons. They arrive, they change you, they teach you something, and then they leave. Yet we spend years fighting that reality. We beg, we chase, we explain ourselves. We replay conversations in our minds 1,000 times, hoping that somehow the ending will change. But every time we refuse to let go, we are not holding on to another person. We are holding ourselves hostage. The Stoics understood something that modern society constantly forgets. The greatest suffering in life rarely comes from losing people. It comes from refusing to accept that they are already gone. Most people think letting go means giving up. The Stoics believed letting go was the highest form of wisdom, because they understood a simple principle. You cannot control another person's choices. You can only control your response to them, and that single realization has the power to change your life forever. Today we are going to explore why letting go is not weakness. It is freedom. Human beings are not afraid of losing people. They are afraid of losing the version of themselves that existed with those people. That is why breakups hurt. That is why betrayal hurts. That is why losing friendships can feel like losing a piece of your own identity. You are not only mourning another person, you are mourning imagined futures, future conversations, future memories, future moments that will never exist. Your mind clings to possibilities that reality has already erased. The Stoics warned against this. Epictetus taught that suffering begins the moment we demand reality becomes something other than what it is. And yet, that is exactly what most people do. They spend months, sometimes years, trying to negotiate with reality. If I had said something different, if I change, if I wait long enough, if they finally realize, every one of those thoughts keeps the emotional wound open. Not because the other person is still hurting you, but because you refuse to stop reopening the wound yourself. Acceptance does not erase pain. It simply stops creating new pain every single day. That is the first lesson of letting go. The human mind has an almost irresistible desire to control what was never meant to belong to it. It convinces us that if we say the right words, become a better version of ourselves, or simply wait long enough, another person's heart will eventually return. This illusion feels comforting because it gives us something to do. Hope becomes a substitute for acceptance. But hope, when attached to something outside your control, quietly transforms into suffering. The Stoics recognized this centuries ago. They divided life into two simple categories. There are things you can control, and there are things you cannot. Your thoughts, your actions, your character, your response. These belong to you, another person's feelings, their loyalty, their love, their decision to stay or leave. None of these have ever belonged to you. Yet most people build their emotional stability on things they have never controlled in the first place. That is why their peace constantly collapses. Imagine trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. Relationships often work the same way. The harder you try to force someone to stay, the more you destroy the very freedom that allowed genuine connection to exist. Real love cannot survive inside a prison. It requires choice. The moment affection becomes obligation, it slowly stops being affection at all. Many people confuse persistence with love. They believe chasing someone proves devotion. In reality, it often reveals something much deeper: fear. fear of abandonment, fear of loneliness, fear that if this person leaves, no one else will ever choose them again. This is where the ego quietly enters the conversation. The ego whispers dangerous lies. You cannot let them leave here. You need closure. You need them to admit they were wrong. You need one more conversation. But notice something. None of those needs are actually about love. They are about control. They are about protecting an identity that has attached its worth to another person's approval. This is why rejection feels so devastating. It doesn't simply reject the relationship. It appears to reject the story we tell ourselves about who we are. For many people, losing someone becomes evidence that they were never enough. But another person's decision is not a measurement of your value. It is simply a measurement of their decision. There is an enormous difference. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself repeatedly that people act according to what appears right to them, whether those actions are wise or foolish, whether they stay or leave, whether they understand your worth or completely overlook it. They are still acting according to their own nature. You cannot rewrite another person's nature. You can only master your own. This realization is uncomfortable because it removes every illusion that we still have influence over someone who has already chosen another path. Yet strangely, it is also one of the most liberating truths you will ever discover. The moment you stop trying to control another person's heart, you finally regain ownership of your own. Your energy returns. Your attention returns. Your peace begins to return. You stop living as a hostage to someone else's decisions. Instead, you begin becoming the author of your own life again. But letting go of control creates another difficult question. If we stop chasing people, does that mean we stop caring? Or have we finally discovered the difference between love and attachment? That distinction changes everything. One of the greatest misconceptions about love is that the more difficult it is to let someone go, the more deeply you must have loved them. It sounds romantic and it sounds noble. It even sounds true. But the Stoics would have challenged that belief immediately. Because love and attachment are not the same thing. Most people spend their entire lives confusing one for the other. Love is the sincere desire for another person's well-being, even when that well-being no longer includes you. Attachment is the desperate need for another person to satisfy your emotional dependence. From the outside, they can look almost identical. Both make you think about someone constantly. Both can make your heart race. Both can make you sacrifice your comfort. But internally, they are driven by completely different motives. Love asks through, how can I appreciate this person while they are here? Attachment asks here, how do I stop them from leaving? Love accepts change. Attachment fights it. Love understands that every relationship is temporary by nature. Attachment behaves as though permanence is a promise that life has somehow broken. This is why attachment almost always creates suffering. It asks another human being to carry a responsibility that no person was ever designed to carry. It quietly says, you are responsible for my happiness. You are responsible for my peace. You are responsible for making me feel complete. That burden eventually crushes every relationship. No one wants to become another person's emotional life support. Healthy love allows people to breathe. Attachment slowly suffocates them. Seneca wrote that we should enjoy the people we love while remembering that nothing in this world is guaranteed forever. At first, this idea sounds cold, almost cruel. Modern culture tells us to love as though nothing will ever change. Stoicism teaches us to love while fully understanding that everything eventually changes. That awareness does not make love weaker. It makes every moment infinitely more valuable. Think about holding sand in your hand. Leave your hand open. The sand remains. Clench your fist. It slips away between your fingers. The same principle quietly governs human relationships. The tighter your emotional grip becomes, the less space love has to exist naturally. Ironically, the strongest relationships are rarely built by people who desperately fear losing each other. They are built by people who choose one another every single day, without trying to possess one another. This is the hidden freedom Stoicism offers. It teaches you that appreciation is infinitely more powerful than possession. Because the moment you stop trying to own another person's presence, you become capable of experiencing something far more peaceful. Gratitude. You stop asking, how do I keep this forever? And you begin asking, how can I fully appreciate it while it exists? That single shift transforms every relationship in your life. But there is still one obstacle standing between understanding this philosophy and actually living it: your memories. Because long after people leave, their memories often refuse to do the same. Long after someone has left your life, their memory often refuses to leave with them. It lingers in ordinary places: a familiar street, a favorite restaurant. A song you never paid attention to before suddenly becomes impossible to listen to. A certain perfume stops you in your tracks. A simple photograph becomes heavier than stone. Most people believe these memories are proof that they are still deeply in love, but that is not always true. Very often, they are proof that the mind has become trapped inside a version of the past that no longer exists. The human brain is not an objective historian. It is a storyteller, and like every storyteller, it edits, it removes details, it exaggerates emotions, it rewrites events until they become almost unrecognizable. When a relationship ends, something strange begins to happen. Your mind starts creating a highlight reel. It replays the laughter, the holidays, the late-night conversations, the promises, the moments that made you feel seen. Meanwhile, it quietly deletes the arguments, the disappointments, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the disrespect you tolerated, the anxiety you normalized, the parts of the relationship that slowly broke your spirit. This is why memory can become more dangerous than reality itself. You are no longer comparing your present life to the relationship you actually had. You are comparing it to a fictional masterpiece your own mind has carefully edited together. And no real future can ever compete with a fantasy. The Stoics constantly reminded themselves that perception is often more powerful than reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote that life is shaped not only by events, but by the judgments we place upon those events. The memory itself is not your prison. Your interpretation of the memory is. There is an enormous difference. Imagine standing inside an old museum. Every room contains pieces of your past. Some beautiful, some painful, some unfinished. The mistake most people make is deciding to live inside the museum forever. They stop building new memories because they are too busy polishing old ones. They visit the same emotional rooms every day. Eventually, the museum stops becoming a place they visit. It becomes the only place they know how to live. This is why healing feels impossible, not because time has failed, but because your attention never left yesterday. Every time you replay the same memory hoping to find a different ending, you unknowingly strengthen the emotional pathway connected to it. The brain becomes more efficient at returning to that pain. It becomes a habit. Eventually, you no longer remember the person because something reminded you. You remember them because your mind has been trained to return there automatically. The Stoics understood that attention is one of the most valuable resources a human being possesses. Where your attention goes, your life quietly follows. If your attention remains permanently chained to yesterday, your future never receives enough energy to grow. This does not mean you erase your memories. It does not mean pretending someone never mattered. It means allowing memory to become a teacher instead of a permanent residence. There is wisdom inside every goodbye. There is growth hidden inside every disappointment. There are lessons buried beneath every heartbreak. But lessons are meant to be carried forward, not carried forever. The strongest people are not those who forget their past. They are those who stop allowing the past to dictate every decision they make in the present. There comes a moment when you must gently close the door, not because the room contains nothing valuable, but because your life is waiting outside of it. And once you finally step outside, you discover something unexpected. The world did not become smaller because one person left. Your world only became smaller because your fear convinced you to stop walking forward. Which brings us to the greatest fear hidden beneath every attachment: the fear of being alone. Because for many people, being alone feels far more terrifying than holding on to someone who was never truly meant to stay. There is a fear that sits underneath almost every failed attempt at letting go. It is not the fear of losing a specific person. It is the fear of being alone with yourself. When someone leaves, the silence they create is often louder than their presence ever was. Suddenly, there is no one to text. No one to explain your thoughts to. No one to distract you from your own mind. And for many people, that silence becomes unbearable. So they do the only thing they know how to do. They reach back. Not because it is healthy, not because it is right, but because being connected to pain feels safer than facing emptiness. This is where most people misunderstand Stoicism. Stoicism is not about rejecting emotions. It is about becoming strong enough to sit with them without escaping. Because when you are unable to sit with yourself, you become dependent on others to escape yourself. That is not love. That is avoidance. The Stoics believed that solitude is not punishment. It is training. A mirror that shows you who you are when nothing external is comforting you. Seneca wrote that no man is free who is not master of himself. And that mastery begins in moments of solitude. When you are alone, you are forced to confront every dependency you have been ignoring, every emotional crutch, every distraction, every attachment you use to avoid discomfort. At first, this feels like suffering, but in reality, it is exposure. And exposure is the beginning of strength, because only when you are alone do you discover whether you are truly stable or just temporarily supported by other people's presence. Most people mistake loneliness for weakness, so they run from it. They fill every empty space with noise, messages, social media, rebound connections, anything to avoid the discomfort of sitting in silence. But every escape only delays the inevitable confrontation with yourself. The Stoics approached solitude differently. They used it as a place of rebuilding, not running. In solitude, you begin to realize something uncomfortable but liberating. You are not actually incomplete without others. You are simply unfamiliar with yourself without distractions. And that unfamiliarity is what creates fear. Because when the external world disappears, you are left with your internal world. And if that internal world is unstructured, silence becomes painful. But if that internal world is strong, silence becomes peaceful. This is the turning point most people never reach. They spend their entire lives trying to avoid themselves. And in doing so, they never become someone they can actually stand to be alone with. But once you learn to sit in your own presence without panic, something fundamental changes. You stop chasing people just to escape yourself. You stop confusing attention with value. You stop measuring your worth through who stays or leaves. And slowly, the fear of being alone transforms into something else entirely. Peace, not because your life is full, but because you are no longer running from it. And once you are no longer running, you are finally ready for the final lesson, the part most people never reach. The moment where letting go stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like freedom. There comes a moment in life when you stop asking the wrong question. You stop asking why someone left. You stop asking what you could have done differently. You stop asking how to get them back, because those questions all share the same hidden assumption, that control was ever yours to begin with. The Stoics would call this the moment of awakening. Not because everything suddenly becomes easy, but because everything finally becomes clear. You begin to see that your suffering was never caused by the absence of another person. It was caused by your resistance to reality. Reality is not cruel. Reality is simply indifferent. And once you stop fighting it, something unexpected happens. The emotional weight begins to lift. Not all at once, but gradually. Like a pressure being released from your mind, you start to notice small changes first. A memory appears, and instead of collapsing into it, you simply observe it. A thought of them arises, and instead of chasing it, you let it pass. A moment of nostalgia comes, and instead of drowning in it, you stay grounded in the present. This is what emotional independence actually looks like. Not the absence of feeling, but the absence of control from those feelings. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you always have the power to reclaim your mind, and that no external event can dominate you unless you allow it to. This is not theory, it is practice. And it begins the moment you stop participating in your own suffering. Letting go is not a single decision. It is a daily discipline of releasing what you cannot change. Again and again, until the grip weakens, and something inside you finally understands. You were never losing them. You were losing the illusion that they were yours to keep. And that realization changes everything. Because once you accept that nothing was ever truly in your control, you are left with something far more powerful. Yourself, your attention, your peace, your direction. The more you release what was never yours, the more you return to what always was. And in that return, you discover something most people spend their entire lives avoiding: freedom. In the end, letting go was never about losing someone. It was about finding yourself again. Most people spend their lives believing that closure comes from another person, a final message, an explanation, an apology, a return. But true closure does not come from outside of you. It comes from the moment you stop needing anything. From the past to continue living in the present. There is a final stage of letting go that very few people ever reach. It is the moment when the memory of someone no longer triggers emotional chaos inside you. Not because you have erased them, but because they no longer define you. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that freedom is not found in controlling the world, but in no longer being controlled by it. And this includes the people who once mattered to you. You begin to realize something powerful. People can leave your life, but they cannot take your mind unless you give it to them. They cannot take your identity unless you build it around their presence. They cannot take your peace unless you attach it to their decisions. And once you see this clearly, the emotional grip begins to break. Not violently, but quietly, naturally, like something loosening its hold after realizing it was never meant to cling forever. You stop chasing closure because you understand closure was never missing. You were missing from your own attention, from your own present moment, from your own life. And now you return. This is what the Stoics would call true strength. Not the ability to hold on, but the ability to release without resentment, without bitterness, without collapse, just understanding, just acceptance, just clarity. And in that clarity, something unexpected happens. The person you were trying so hard to keep no longer has power over your emotional world. Not because they changed, but because you did. You stopped building your peace around people who were never responsible for it in the first place. And slowly, life becomes lighter, not because you have less, but because you are no longer carrying what was never yours. So if you take anything from this, let it be this. You do not lose people when you let them go. You lose yourself when you refuse to. And the moment you finally understand that, you stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop waiting, and you start living again, fully, quietly, completely. That is the Stoic art of letting go.